Hello, hello, Rhoda here. Welcome to my craft room. Today we're working on a junk journal January. We're going for crumpled and sealed, and I'm doing them on the same page. It's not going to be a very elaborate make today, but I am going to show you this, which is, I had some people say they would like to see some of my other forms of artwork, and this is more like in my crafts. So I don't know if you remember when everybody was covering albums with material. This is like a chintz kind of material. It used to have a sheen to it, but anymore it doesn't. But they would make these little, got some hairs in there, and they would make these little kind of bump out pieces that they would put a photo in or something like that. I just kind of made a window, and I had like a little cluster of pearls and ribbons here with a big rose that got mashed over time. But I did put the kind of a lace around the outside. This is back in the gaudy ages. This is like in the 80s and 90s. But I used to do so many of these. I even have some of the little albums still up there that I never got around to. I have like a little tie here that I tied it shut. And of course the inside it's got that too. And it's more protected in here. It's still got a little bit of sheen left to it. But here's some of the quilts that I made. I actually made this one in a mini form. It wasn't too easy, but I did do it. This is called a lover's knot. You can see the knot right here in the black. And it's similar to a log cabin, but you rotate like the log cabin is all the long squares going into the shorter squares. Here you reverse it. You have two of them like the log cabin, and then these two are reversed where the long pieces are on the inside and the shorter going into a square is on the outside. So, and then you just do 4 of those and put the panels together, and then you try to follow your colors though going around just like a log cabin. But anyhow, if you're a quilter, you kind of probably already know what I mean. But yeah, I like the lover's knot because I've always liked a log cabin, and I made a large one. So here is the large one that I made, and this was back in 1991. Now see, before I got into crafting and before I got into genealogy, it seems like this is what I was doing. But when I got home from North Carolina, I lived there for 5 years and came home. I had an iron board in my bedroom, and I was cutting stuff out on my bed on a hard surface and just going to town. But I really loved how this turned out. Oh, that's another one. This was just strips. This was some more of that chintz fabric in a green. That green was so pretty. I've still got a little bit of it. This one here is a fan quilt. Now, fan quilt is another one of my very favorites. I love a fan quilt. This is more like a wall hanging size. And I put a little lace at the top and try to use all coordinating colors. And then I had a little bit of ribbon right there. And then this one, I don't know if that one was just like a crazy quilt kind of a thing, because it looks like it's just, I made a square with just strips. And then you put that one strip in the middle of each one, and that makes a diamond once you put it together. Yeah, I think that was it. And then these two down here are the same things that I've got here, just different angles. Over here, this one is called a Dresden plate. And, oh, that one's trying to come out back there. Well, that was for my dad's birthday in 1992 for his bed. And then this one I made in 91. It was a Dresden plate. I think it was for somebody. I had to piece this plate part together, and then I had to, what do you call it, satin stitch it to the outside, by the outside to a square. And then I put all the squares together. I love the way the little edge went, because it was like a large wedge facing that way, and then a a little rounded edge facing out where it gave a little bit of a bump of interest. That was just some kind of coffee table thing. I don't know what. Here are some of the books that I've made. And here was a baby book. So it has the ABC blocks on it. And I think I had put a little bit of some kind of a fabric paint around there. And I did the ABC with the fabric paint. Gosh, I don't know how much is in here. I just took several photos of it. And then that was in 1992. And I made a picture album here. This is probably the better picture. Oh, I think I gave it to my sister. And you were supposed to put a photo down here in the middle. You always left like a little part. You hot glued all of this down. And I left a little pocket at the top where you could slip the photo down into. That's how you would make it. I think these two pieces were earrings. I think that was a brooch of some sort. So, and then I had another piece up here that may have been a necklace. So you got kind of just put pieces and parts together. Here's like a blue album that's along the same. I made that for my brother's almost wife. I say almost because they never got married. Here's this album. I didn't put a date or anything on it. But of course it had to be in the 90s. I'm trying to figure out what all I have in here. Then we have, what am I hitting? Oh, it's the rose I'm hitting. Then I have this little one at the top. It's got like hearts on it. And it's got a little log cabin in between. And then I had a blank square. And then I put like a heart on it. Heat and bond. I used to use heat and bond a lot. And you could like heat and bond like the heart down. And then maybe I outlined it with the fabric paint or a satin stitch. Here was, oh, that was a doll quilt. It wasn't very big. And then here is Heart's Delight wall hanging. I don't know where I come up with that. But that is a, kind of like the Purina. It's like a 9-patch, they call it. And then, of course, I did the hearts the same way as the others. Now, I loved a fan quilt. Love, love, love. So, here's a couple of fan quilts that I did. And the green, and it was the hunter green and the burgundies were really, really popular. And then this is an around the world. So that's where you start with one square. Then you have 4 others in like a cross design of another color. And then another bunch of squares around that in another color. And you can like ombre it. You have an ombre effect. But that's a very popular quilt. We have a thing that happens over in Howland County. It's the next county over. The one butts up to West Virginia where we live. And they have a lady that's always out on the courthouse lawn. And she has quilts hanging. She always has log cabins. It's a very easy quilt to do. You can do it in strips. Here, I don't even know what that was. It was a quilt for a soccer coach. I don't even know. I think that may have been for my little niece's soccer coach. Because I know Perry was into soccer. Now this, where I mentioned heat and bond. That's how I made these huge fans. And they are big. I love this one. This was like a small rose or something. It was calico, they call it. And then I had ironed on a strip of some kind of sheer lace with another little bit below it. And then you would have a muslin on the back of it. So it was like totally encased with the heat and bond sandwiched inside. And that was like a glue that just kept all the layers together. And then what you did is you would fan fold it. And you would kind of iron it down or whatever to get it to keep the creases. And you gathered it right down there at the base. Made the most beautiful fans. I mean, they were gorgeous. And then I got a couple of little ones down here at the bottom. And then these are placemats here. I made placemats at one time. Let's see if I can get them out of here. And they're totally heat and bonded. And what I did is I put an outside border on here, and then I kind of fussy cut fabric. And once you heat and bond it, it still has a paper on the back side, so it makes it easier to cut like fabric. It's stiffer at that point. So then I just put those pieces down and ironed them down. So that's how that was done. It's in the fabric department at Walmart if you're ever interested in trying it out. Pretty cool stuff. And this was a little girl that I made. She was like a panel, like a yard piece of material, and all of her little pieces and parts are on there. I still got her. She's in the other room. This was just a framed piece of art that was a quilted piece of material. There was another one. I can't remember what that's. Lace heart wreath. No, that's down there. I'm not sure what this pattern is. I had a little tiny book that I made, and I really love how that thing turned out. That was a little, what do you call those things? Applique. It's like a little applique. That was a piece of that lace that I loved that I had on that fan back there. And that was a heart shape that's like styrofoam. And you would make it a piece of material or lace or whatever that was like, had a casing in it. That's like a curtain, you know, where the rod goes, that's the casing. And then you just kept pushing it and pushing it and pushing it on there and getting it to gather. Telling y'all all kinds of stuff, aren't I? I used to do crafts now. I did. And so here is 3 pieces of material that I made into a tube, and then I stuffed it with polyfill, and then I braided them together. So this was a pretty good size. And then I just like wove a little bit of pearls through there. You could weave ribbons, whatever you would want. And then you just gather it up at the top and clench it shut with a wire or something. And then hide that with a bow. Somebody liked cows, so I think I had to do a cow dress for this figurine here. I did cross stitching on these. I think that's what that is. I used to do my own dish or dust cloths, and all you have to do is like knit these like rectangles, I guess, with a hole in them, and then you put all these little pieces of yarn through there, and they're great dust collectors. You just spray them with your pledge and just start wiping, and your hand is up inside of it. Oh goodness. Okay. All right, I did some styrofoam ball Christmas ornaments, and you can get these little tiny tack nails in the I think where the notions are, and they're for sequins. But you can actually get them and put them into things like these little panels of material to hold everything down. Now these little angels, these are Renews-It bottles. You know the Renews-It where it's got a little dome on it, little tall dome, and it pops up and it got a little crack where the smell comes out. That's what these are. And they're where you can take the actual lid off. It pops off the Renews-It. And if the Renews-It goes out, you could pop the new top onto the old one where they're decorated. And I have a little sailor doll in there, probably full of dust. But I made these little angels, I think, one year for Christmas for everybody. And I saw that over in Highland County. There's 2 schools. There's an elementary and a high school. And the elementary has all the rooms. Everybody rents those out for all of their craft supplies and such. And we saw that idea over there. A lot of times I will look at something and I'll come home and make it. Those were just some little fans that I made out of material and lace. These are more of those little wreaths that were woven from 3 tubes. This was a box. I made it look like it was pin tucked by gluing the 5 little spots on the top of it. And what's this doing in here? Here's that Here's that photo of the horse that I made for Jeanette. I don't know why they're in here. Marriage certificate. I must have made that for Gina. And then there's her parking permit. I'd showed you all of those things. I think I showed you Bodie and Snoopers and the tiger. Here was a pillow I was embroidering, I guess is the word. And these were some of those things down at the Oak Hill Nursing Home where I was. She must have took it with a Polaroid because it's not a very good shot. Let's see, is that where that's from? Yeah. I made a little girl over here, February, and a little boy over here. And they were going to exchange cards. I'm pretty sure that's where that's at. That must have been one of my first things I made, because I got better after that. And this is my mom and dad's house. It's a 60-foot long ranch brick. It has a big bay window. That tree is huge now. There's actually one on each side. Yeah, because here's more calendars. So I had one for winter, or January. And then that was the one with the other February. I must have been there over a year, because here's another February. And then here is one where it's the fundraiser in March. And I tried to make the letters have a look of a shamrock or something. This is a wall hanging that has a carousel horse. This is just a pillow panel. Here's more those creatures that I had to make stuff. There was a, not so crazy about that. I don't know. The Dill family all had these creatures. The mother was called Moo, so I guess she had the cow. One of them liked pigs. I guess another one liked bears. So I was just making them little dresses for their critters. There's another one of those books. This was, I worked in the fabric department, and you got these little flyers every now and then, that little pull-off sheets, and people could get them. And they had this one quilt pattern, and it's like little leaves, and you make them to where they look like the little leaves are going up on a stem. This little quilt I've got hanging up behind me here on the wall, and I can't remember. First quilt for Deb, it was black and white. She didn't want any colors, I guess. And then we found this material that had animals. There was a whole series that came in, about 7 or 8 pieces, and it had animals on it, wild animals. It had like a mule deer, a mountain goat, regular deer, a ram, a bear, a wolf, and yeah, so I made up this pattern to put these on, and then I made a tree skirt also, which I guess you'll see back here. Now here is a flying geese quilt. I made that for my sister. The middle one here got wonky on me. It started rippling. Oh, nasty thing. Oh, I must have made that for her husband. And here is, this is called a pineapple pattern. So you kind of go over the corners, and that kind of creates a pineapple look. I had a lady at work, Louise Kime, paid me $200 to make this quilt. And I got all of these different patterns from this one material that was gorgeous. But I did it on my grandmother's quilting frame. It's in the basement, and I just loved it. I loved using that to make that. And here is where I was getting, I don't know if you know about the quilted fabric they have in a fabric department, but it was like a one-sided quilted, and I cut it, and then I took material on the bias to where you could bend it easily, and I created these vines and things, and then I put hearts down on it. Actually, I think that one's in the next room. Here we go, I found it. So see, it's got this on the back, and then it's got this on the front, and Oh, I've got two different ones here. So this is the one I think you're seeing. Yeah, this is the one you're seeing in the photo. And I have these little purple hearts on it. And I cut all this material. They're very dirty. They've been on the quilt rack where the cats like to lay under. Oh, but I hand stitched all these little leaves and this, and I hand stitched all that on there. And then I sewed on the little heart eyelet lace here. And then this is another one that I did. And I did, you know, maroons and greens. I love this color green. I just love it. But yeah. And then you're supposed to put that on a coffee table or something and put a vase or just whatever you want in the middle of it. Up here is my log cabin quilt. It's also in there on that quilting frame. But you can see where you had to lash the quilt to it to pull it taut. And then these were like the cranky things that you cranked it tight or rolled it down to work on the next panel part. And then here's the full quilt right there. And I put actual log cabins. Can I get that one out? I put actual log cabins on it as well, as you can see. And the red square in the middle is the hearth. That's the fire in the hearth. I put a few pine trees and a star on one panel, and then I made up this log cabin and put it on the next panel. And, wait a minute, I'm on the wrong one. There we go. Let's see, this was a quilt that I made for a girl that worked with me, her daughter. It was another fan quilt. This hat here, that was something, it was a very, very ugly hat. And there was a thing about raising money at Walmart. So they wanted me to make this hat. Had a bunny rabbit on top of it and all kinds of ugly greenery on it. Big shingled tassel hanging off the edge. But you had to wear it and earn enough money from people to donate money to get it to pass on to somebody else. That's how it worked. Now here's another lover's knot that I made with my baby Scooter on there. I love that. I've got that one. That's purple is my color. Now this leaf design up here, that I think was another one of those pull off things. I have been working on that leaf quilt for a long, long time. It's still not done. Still not done. Okay, I got a cake in here. My dad, he was brick and block mason for years. So that was his 1996 birthday cake. So I put it up, made it all red. And I made the icing. That must have been where I worked in the bakery. But I made mortar looking kind of trim to separate each brick. And then I've got mortar on his trowel. And then I've got where he's still building it up there. Thought that was cute. Here's all of the, what do you call it? The tree skirts that I made. Here's the one with all the animal heads on it. I thought that one turned out pretty cool. And then these were just some kind of shiny material here. I don't know who Bobby Lester is, but that was a baby quilt I made for her. But yeah, these turned out kind of cool. Now this, where it says Grindstone Ridge, that's when I lived in North Carolina. And I was working for some guy that made these type of signs. And they were like made out of a certain type of wood. And then you got this real tough kind of a rubber stuff that you put over top of the wood. The wood itself was rosewood or something, and it was really, really soft. So what happens is you put that whole covering of that rubber thing, it's got a sticky back on it, onto the wood. You draw the design on it, and then you peel off what you want to be sunken in. So then you kind of sandblasted it, and it made these sunken areas, and then you painted it to get the colors on there that you were wanting. Okay. This is, can I get it out? This is like a bird. I don't know if I'm going to get the thing out. this is a bird house wall hanging, I guess you call it, that I made up for Mom. Just from things that I had seen. And I just made these real long panels of them and put them on their little, their posts, and just kind of had a birdhouse little trim there and there. But I thought it turned out really cute. Now I am not going to try to get it back in there, so I'm going to put it in that side. And then this was something I made for my dad with some of his army things. These stars, and I think that was his. And I put bullets on the top and the bottom of it. This was, okay, I used to make these pillowcase dolls. And I would take a bunch of polyfill in a ball shape about this big, softball size. And I shoved it right up at the top of the fold of the pillowcase. Like you got the opened in here, and you go way up to the top where the fold is. I put it right in the center, and I would gather all that material down around the head. And I would spin this like little bit of ribbon around there. Actually, it was a really long ribbon because I did a lot with it. Then I kind of pulled each one of the points of the pillowcase out. That was the little arms. And then I started doing like a crossover design or something with the ribbon to form that. And then I spun the rest of it around right under the arms for the waist. And then the rest of it was just where you would tuck everything. But I made little hats for them, and I trimmed out the bottom. Made them for years. They were really popular. Really popular. And then I made this birdhouse quilt. I made it in, I think it was for my mom. And then this was the border that was on the bottom of it, which was real cute. This was another one of those things, table scarves. And I made a turkey. I don't know if you can see him that well. I made him, he's still in there in the trunk. Sometimes I'll bring him out for Thanksgiving, and sometimes I don't. And then I have this that was a quilt I made for Easter. I'm trying to get where you don't have so many glares on it. But it's got 4 baskets on it. And I got eggs on there. Little bunny rabbits with like little pink see-through pearl buttons. And then I put some ribbon on there. And then I had an outside trim that kind of reminded me of baskets. I think they were baskets. So that trim went with that. And that's kind of like what the little bunny rabbits look like. And then that was what the baskets look like. So, as you can see, I have been busy making all those little goodies. All right, let's get to our project. Like I said, it's not going to be that much to talk home about, but my 2 things are crumpled and sealed. So this was the last stuff we did. So here is the page that I'm going to work on. Now this is where I'm going to actually sew it into the signature. So I need to leave this open, but it's going to actually seal shut, which will be the part that's sealed. So the crumpled part, I got to thinking, why not just crumple this up kind of like that. I crumpled it before, that's why it's so easy. Crumple it up like that to make kind of a U shape here. And I'm going to get in here and try to glue this down really well. And then I've got this cute little baby guy. I think Jody sent me all these cards, and this is the last one I have not used yet. So I'm thinking of putting him right in here where that kind of mimics around him. I curled one of these little whiskers down here, whatever you want to call that. I have this that was left over from the other project I did, but I'm thinking of putting that on here like this, and just so there was something at the top and the bottom of him. And then this part will get cut off because it's going to be, you know, what's on the other side over here? Because this is going to be about right there. Yeah, I guess I can just cut that off. So let me pull this out because that's the only piece we're working with. And I'm going to go ahead and get my little guy kind of glued down. But yeah, I could not think of, you know, these. I don't know if my brain's just tired. That's probably it. I mean, I've been going at this 3 different challenges, and now Jody, I just watched her video where she's got out the next challenge for her alphabet challenge, and C has made an appearance. So I've got C to do now, which I had to think. Boy, I had to think on that one too. I don't know what the deal is, but you know, I don't like to do the obvious. I don't like to do the obvious. So she had crow. Collage was the bonus word, but she had crow, and she had crossword, and then crayon, and like I said, the bonus was collage. But you know, I don't want to do the obvious. That's just sticking, you know, right in front of you, and would be what everybody else would be using. I don't like to do that. I like to try to do my own form of the word, and get it. It's more challenging. This is having a little trouble coming out. Let's go to the fabric tack. I might have to fill that back up. That's usually when that starts happening. But we'll go with fabric tack for this one. It won't hurt a thing. But yeah, the like crow, I had to come out with something different because Jody's already used crow. But I'm sure everybody else is going to use crow the same way as well. But I wanted to do a little bit different. And then crossword, I think there's no other way I can use it. So I'm going to have to go with how that's going to actually turn out. Okay, I wanted to just be able to see a little bit of that green. And I think I can. Okay. So I have this gift wrap that we're going to put over here on the background. So I don't really need that much of it. Just enough to... Well, I guess I need to cover that whole thing because that will flip open. That's right. Because it's going to... I kept thinking of envelope, where you seal an envelope shut. And the crumpled part is what kind of was confusing me on how I could use that. That wasn't making too much sense to me. Now I'm going to just cut it right here. I think that's tall enough. Good enough. Okay. Now I'm going to get in here and I'm going to fill up my bottle of Barely Arts glue, and I'll be right back. Alright, I hope I didn't bang up, mess up and fill this so full that it's going to spew over. So I'm going to get something to weight this down, to lay down. It's not wanting to lay down now. There we go. And I'm just going to cover, let's see. We're going to cover it with this. This is some of that Tombow glue that I get down at Michael's. I love it. It's really gooey, sticky, and I think it does a really great job of sticking more than any other glue stick that I've gotten. So in case you want to try it, it's not very expensive, but it's worth a try to see if it will work in your area, or will do the more permanent gluing. I know a lot of people say the glue sticks do not stay down, and they don't. So I'm going to go around the outside edge just as added security. I always do this. And I think it's got enough in here, but I usually will put a few dots of that in there as well. Okay. And then we're just going to stick this up here at the top, close as we can. Whoa. not cooperating. There we go. Once you get that part down, then you can start feeding it over, but just very slowly. That's kind of the trick to keep it from wrinkling. Though crumpled is one of our words. Now, we could have made that crumpled, but and it sort of is in a way. If you look at it, it is sort of crumpled. All right, now I got to figure out what I want to do and how to put this other part together. I do need to trim this, which we'll go ahead and do. Like that. Don't have that much sticking over here other than that. Maybe a little bit there. Okay, I think that fixed it. And now our part 2. Try to put this. This is going to be interesting. Okay, I'm definitely probably going with this. And I'm going to go in here and put it under pieces and parts. Now I don't want it to be glued down all the way. I'm going to want it, well, yeah, it's going to be glued down all the way on this. That's right. Because I want to be able to flip this whole piece back. Like that could go under there. This is definitely going to go in here. That little piece there. I think I need a little bit more under there. And then you just got to hold it down. It's not going to be that bulky. I thought it was going to be really, really bulky, but it's not really. Let me get up under here and see what I could get to work with this. Yeah. I need a little bit up in here. That piece goes there. It's kind of like trying to figure out, you know, it's kind of like doing a background. You're trying to figure out what to glue first. That's going to go with another piece. And what's on top, what's on bottom. Let's see if I can get a little bit more under there. And then we're going to come under here and add a little bit here, there, and then up in here. All right. Let me see if that's all I'm going to need. And I'm hoping I didn't get any to dribble over onto this other part because I didn't want it there. I do have a little bit there. It needs to come off. Something to wipe my finger off over there. No, I don't want that. I definitely need a little bit more up here. That piece was coming up. Okay. And you're just going to want to keep working at it. This is great for us people that like grungy, right, Tommy? Us that like our grunginess. And I'm going to go ahead and... Oh, I broke it off. I curled it and I broke it off. That's okay. I wanted that black to show, so that's working right in my favor. Now, I'm going to go ahead and make sure this is down all the way. And I want to do a little bit of something to this. I'm not sure if I'm going to use my luster paste over there on it, or if I'm just going to drag my, what you call it here, across it. Let's just experiment. How about that? Let's pull a little scorched timber ink across here and see what it does. I mean, I don't have any ink or anything else on here. I thought it would hit the highlights, you know. Oop, I gotta glue that. There. Okay. There we go. And hit the highlights. See what we're doing here. And I thought this hitting the highlights kind of thing would go with his little blanket kind of thing he's got behind him there. And it would kind of correspond with each other, kind of go with each other. I still think I'm going to get in here with some of that luster paste. It needs something else. Badly. Badly. Okay, kind of like that. Let me get my luster, which is this stuff, the metallic luster iced espresso. Thinking it needs a little bit of something fun. Oh yeah, oh yeah. It needed that. It needed something. I still can see the scorched timber behind it, so that's good. But I'm gonna hit the highlights here. Can you see it? I'm probably up too far. Yeah, but I'm hitting the highlights just with a little bit of that luster paste. And it's really doing the trick of making us come alive. It wasn't. It was kind of dead. Okay. Now the next book, I got rid of that book. I figured I'd just go all the way through it since I had such a short video today to show you. But the next ones I'm going to show you are my genealogy ones. Now, I'll start with mine and I'll flip through a little bit each day. And then some of them have stories on the pages, and I really went to town with it. And then I've got ones that I did for Dad, and I'll bring those up and show you those. And I have a 70th birthday party journal for him. And what I did is I got everybody to give me memories, any kind of a memory they had about him. And I typed it up and tried to put their photo in there if I could. So the photo of the person was with the memory. Okay, so as you can see, I got a little bit of glistening going on there on the edge. I think that's really pretty how that turned out. That dark behind it really made the actual luster pop. Now I've got these quote seals. This is going to be my sealed part. But this one has ideas or the lost and found of the artist. And I thought that would go really good here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it like right there. And right under that, I'm going to put these Velcro fastener dots. So it'll actually shut. So I got to get one of each thing here. And I'm going to actually put a little bit of this there as well. Okay, I think it was about right there, just so it's going to help it stay shut. And then I need this one. Oops, like that. Oh, can't get to let loose on me. And then I'm going to put a little dot of that here. And then I'm going to shut it, and that's going to give it the area that it needs to be. And then on top of that, now I put a little bit of alcohol ink on here. That's why it's kind of on the brown side, to help it out. All right, we're going to put that right there, and it's going to go right here in this kind of bare area. All right. Let me sit here and let that dry for a minute. Okay, so here is our little piece that we did today. It's a combination of crumpled and sealed. And this is sealed shut right here. I don't want to pull too hard because everything's still drying. But this will be sealed shut. I may make a little pocket or something underneath of there, or a tuck. Maybe I could do a tuck right here. And that would be a reason for that to be sealed shut. Yeah, this is still wiggling around here. But, yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. It has a little bit of the vintage feel that I'm going for here. A little Victorian, had a little person, and I think he fits right in there really perfectly. All right, I hope everybody enjoyed this. Thank you, all my subscribers and viewers for coming by. And come back again when I may be actually trying to do the last 3 together. I don't know. What day is it? Oh, today's the 29th. So I may or may not try to do all 3 of those together. Reveal, fabric, and letter. Oh, I'll have to think about that. All right, everyone. Take care, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.